Robert Plank Show, episode 189. Live with purpose, overcome limiting beliefs, and focus on one thing with author, speaker, and entrepreneur Joe Apfelbaum. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Robert Plank Show. We talk about making money and building an online business. Our guest today is Joe Apfelbaum, and he's the CEO and co-founder of Ajax Union, which is a digital marketing agency based in Brooklyn. Joe's a public speaker, a certified Google trainer, and a published business author, and he's the host of the popular podcast CEO Mojo, and we're going to talk about building an online business and lots of fun stuff today. So, Mr. Joe, how are things with you?
Oh, things are just amazing. Life is so great. I'm so fortunate. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
I'm excited to have you on, and I'm glad that you're on. So, I mean, what's been on your mind lately, and what do you have to say about building an online business?
So, on my mind lately is how do you live a life of purpose, the life that you don't just live a life of purpose, but living also a life on purpose, doing everything with intent, doing everything that aligns with your philosophy, and knowing what to say no to. In terms of an online business, there's never been a better time to build an online business where more and more people are buying things online and doing things online. And for me, the way that I see building a successful online business is having a solid plan, knowing what you want to accomplish, not just doing it for the money, but doing it because you're super passionate about solving a problem, super passionate about adding value. Too many people go into a niche just because they think that they're going to make the maximum amount of money in that niche, but they're not really excited about the niche. And what ends up happening is they try to get rich quick, they try to make money, and they don't end up really adding enough value as somebody that would be passionate and excited about that niche. So if you really want to be successful, you have to be passionate and excited about what you're doing, simply because it might not make money. So you're not going to have a good time if it doesn't make money. If my business didn't earn money, I'd still be having a blast running it. Thankfully, I'd figured out a way to make it make money because we're the best digital marketing agency in the world. We're super amazing. But I love marketing. I love digital marketing. I love technology. I love creativity. I love the people I work with, and I love our clients. So that's why we're able to have these types of amazing results, because we have amazing people doing amazing things. If you don't love your business, if you don't love what you're doing, it's a problem.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense, especially for people who are trying to get through those first few rough years or get through, whatever it takes to grow the business to get to the fun part. And so, I mean, what are your thoughts on, so there's that aspect of it, but then what are your thoughts on people who have sort of the other extreme of the problem where they have a lot of passion for something that will not make money? Like, how do you figure out if you're in the right place?
If you have a lot of passion about something and you haven't figured out how to make money doing it, the question you should be asking is, how much value am I actually doing? How much value am I actually adding? Because if you're adding enough value, money will follow. So how can you add even more value with what you're doing? I was just speaking to somebody that is a religious scribe, and we were talking about what he does, and for the parts that he's charging for, he makes a living, but he doesn't make quite enough. But then there are so many other things that he's simply not charging for. And I was like, this is so valuable. This is the reason why people come to you. This is the reason why people would pay you. And you're not charging for any of that stuff. Why don't you flip it around? Why don't you do the other stuff that's not quite making you a living? Don't charge for it, but charge for the service. Charge for the stuff that you really stand out with, and that's why people come to you, and that's what people would pay a premium for. So you really need to change the way that you think about your business, and you need to cross-pollinate with what you love doing and kind of like mix it with something else that is more monetizable. So sometimes you might love doing photography, but you may not realize that just doing photography for, just landscapes or whatever might not make it for you. You might have to do photography for pets or photography for weddings and so on, and kind of like shift your change a little bit. So instead of taking pictures of buildings, take pictures of smiling couples and so on. So just shifting what you're doing within your same industry and figuring out where the money is that will align with your passion. That's sometimes what a lot of people need to do. And sometimes people are so stuck thinking that their passion cannot make them money, that it ends up not making them money because they can't even see how it could possibly make them money because they have this self-limiting belief that doing this passion is not going to make me money, or there's somebody in my life that's stopping me from being successful. They don't really want to be successful because they don't want the other person to judge them, or there's a lot of other issues that are really much deeper rooted when you see somebody that's doing something that they're actually passionate about and they're not. And you know what? A lot of times it has to do with where they are in their life right then. Maybe they need the support, or they need to give back to support in a certain community or in a certain something, and that's why they're involved with something, but they're really not passionate about that thing. They're really not excited about that thing. And they're excited in the moment because of the people around them, but it might be time for them to change and to get to something else that will really get their juices flowing. So, it's a matter of like, how much value are you adding? Is this something that you really love doing it? Are there other issues in your life that are stopping you? What's really at the core of this? Why are you not making money?
Right, and I can totally relate to a lot of that stuff. And from what I'm hearing, from what you just explained with a lot of those examples, was like there's the fear of success thing that's holding a lot of people back. Another thing that seems to hold people back is that the support system they have are people who maybe aren't successful or kind of discouraging, and that leads to all this guilt with the money. And then another thing I heard in there was that to overcome that, if someone has a really good reason why, like a really good, mission and purpose, kind of like how you mentioned about your agency, how you guys want to be the best in the world, that kind of overcomes a lot of the things that we find ourselves stuck in, I guess.
Yeah, and look, a lot of times it has to do with you mentioned something. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You are the average of the 5 things that you spend the most time doing. So if you look around in your life and you see, are you hanging out with people that are more successful than you, or are you hanging out with people that are just as unsuccessful as you? Believe it or not, the more successful somebody is, the more they want to help other people. I see this over and over and over. I see a lot of very unsuccessful people saying, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. And I see a lot of very successful people saying, with the mind of abundance, I'll do anything for you. You have to do nothing for me. That's a success mindset. If you don't have enough of those people around you, if you don't have enough people that live in a state of abundance, that are willing to help you and support you and cheer you on, so it's about living in a state of abundance. That's the key. The key is live in a state of abundance. Hang around with people that are in a state of abundance. Are you with me?
I am. And so does that, I mean, it sounds to me like if someone is stuck with the wrong crowd or the wrong mindset, I mean, how do they get out of that? And how do they get those better friends and take those steps that they're supposed to be taking?
When you change yourself, when you start changing yourself, so a lot of people get stuck on, oh, if I hang around with the wrong people, I need to change them. No, you don't need to change anybody. When you start improving yourself, when you become amazing yourself, all the people around you either become amazing with you or they become allergic to you. And most of the time, they become allergic to you. They become jealous. They become resentful. They become the people that try to put you down and say, who the hell are you to do that? Who the hell are you to be great? Who the hell are you to be successful? And when you say, no, I don't care, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to do this, you're going to become detached from them automatically. People are either going to love you or they're going to hate you. Most people are just busy being mediocre, so they're not loved and they're not hated by anyone. They're playing it safe. If you're playing it safe, you're never going to see the true success. You're never going to be able to get motivated. You're never going to be able to go out there and make that impact. You can't play it safe if you want greatness. If you want to take your life to the next level, you got to start taking your life to the next level in wherever you are. And that means reading more books, developing yourself, figuring out how things occur to you, writing, reading, listening to podcasts, getting out there, helping other people. Ask yourself, if you're not successful, ask yourself, who's less successful than you? And how have you helped them lately? And there's always somebody that's less successful than you. There's always somebody that has less than you. Always, no matter where you are. I recently saw a thing. There's this person that's driving driving their bicycle, and they're thinking to themselves, "Oh, I wish I had there's somebody driving like a car, like a decent car, and he looks and he sees somebody that's driving an amazing car." Like a really high-end car. He's like, oh, I wish I had that amazing car. And there's somebody driving a crappy car looking at the guy that's driving a decent car saying, oh, I wish I had that. And somebody that's driving a bicycle looking at the guy that's driving a crappy car saying, I wish I could afford it. And somebody that's walking looking at the guy in the bicycle He's like, if I wish I had a bicycle, I'd be able to walk further. And there's somebody in a wheelchair looking at the guy walking, thinking to himself, if only I had legs and I could walk. Right? There's always somebody that's worse off than you. So finding that person, asking yourself, A, what am I grateful for? Do you have legs? Are you walking? Do you have an online business? A lot of people don't even know how to get started with an online business. And there you are complaining that your online business sucks. Find somebody that doesn't have an online business and help them get started. And then you yourself find people that are more successful than you and ask them, how can I add value to your life? And when you start adding value to other people's life, even if they're more successful than you, there's something you could do for somebody else. Go out there, find those people, and then learn from them. See what they've done. There's somebody out there that has done it before. It might have to do with working harder. It might have to do with working smarter. It might have to do with buying an ebook. I used to be very against buying ebooks for myself. I used to be very against investing in books and in seminars, and now I'm totally for it. Somebody recently said, Joe, why do you have so many coaches? And I thought to myself, why do I have so many coaches? Because the coaches are adding so much value. But I used to be the guy that would say, coaches are a waste of time. The reason why they're a coach is because they don't know how to be successful themselves. And that was a self-limiting belief. That was wrong. And I proved it wrong by hiring coaches and paying coaches $2,000 an hour to help me grow.
And that's cool, and I've experienced that too, and I've heard that over and over, that once you, and it relates back to that abundance mindset, and once you kind of pay for the right people or the right tools, and it's going to come back multiple times, as opposed to just kind of saving your pennies. And you mentioned that video about the guy in the car looking at the guy in the smaller car, all the way down to the guy in the wheelchair. And I've seen that video too, and we'll post it on the show notes for this interview. But sort of along those lines, I mean, what are your thoughts on if someone is too content, right? Like, because and I can relate to everything that you just mentioned about how, like, it's tempting to focus on others instead of myself, right? And by being helpful instead of trying to change people, that sort of like redirects that whatever, that energy or whatever for me, and then it leaves me open to being like, okay, like I'm open to my faults and my mistakes and stuff like that. But what I've seen from some people is that some people kind of look at it and they say, well, hey, I'm doing pretty well. I'm better off than most. And they just kind of use that as an excuse to not take action. So what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on people who are sort of too content with that?
Well, there's a very big difference between being satisfied and being fulfilled. And a lot of people don't make a distinction between being satisfied and being fulfilled. It's okay to be satisfied. It's okay to be fulfilled. It's okay to be fulfilled. But if you lose your hunger, if you're just satisfied and you're not hungry anymore, then you're going to slowly be living a slow, painful death. You need to always keep your appetite up. You need to always keep your hunger alive for success, hunger alive for growth. If you're not growing, you're dying. That doesn't mean you don't feel fulfilled. That doesn't mean that you're not proud of what you've accomplished. You can say, oh my gosh, I am so happy. I'm better off than most. I'm so grateful. But use that as fuel to not only help others, but help yourself get to the next level. You always have to be growing. And those that know that, they're never satisfied. They're never satisfied. Yes, they're fulfilled. They live the beautiful day. Every single day they're like, wow, this is my ideal day. I'm living my ideal life. But if I get my eye off the ball, well, let me tell you, everything will fall down like a house of cards. You need to keep growing. Your competition's out there. They're going to bite your head off. You got to live your life with hunger. You can never be satisfied. If it's your body and you're like, oh, I could do 100 push-ups, I never have to do a push-up again. You know what's going to happen? You're going to become a person that can't even do one push-up anymore very, very soon. If you could do 100 push-ups, good. Could you do 200? Could you do them standing on your head? Could you do them with 6 kids on you? Could you do them with a weighted vest? Could you take it to the next level? Don't be satisfied, because when you're satisfied, what happens is you become complacent. You need to constantly be on edge. You need to constantly take things to the next level. Feel fulfilled that you can do 100 push-ups. Feel fulfilled that you're generating $1 million, but generate $2 million. Generate $1 million in profit. Generate $1 million in profit without having to spend all your time in the office. Generate more money, help more people, start businesses for other people. Like, what can you be doing to support the world more? Your calling is not to just sit around and collect some fruit and sit around and watch the fruit. No, your job is to collect some fruit, pull out the seeds, plant them, start an orchard, and show other people how to start orchards.
That's a good attitude. But so what are your thoughts on, so if you strive to be fulfilled and not necessarily satisfied, right? Like don't be like basically like
Yes,
like full of the food, but what are your thoughts on, so like I've got to have that drive, I've got to keep on, bettering my best, or however you want to call it. But do you think that there's a trap some people can fall into on just like never being happy and being so driven that
of
they don't
course.
enjoy the moments? And what's the answer to that?
Of course, of course. The answer is it's art. There is a skill, which is there's a skill, right? Having the hunger and having all that, that's something you got to build like a muscle. You got to constantly keep growing. And then there's whether or not you're fulfilled. That's art. That each person's that's a very individual journey. That's a very individual journey. You could have a guy who's I know a guy who's a multi-billionaire. He doesn't feel fulfilled. He's angry, he's upset. He's not in control of his emotions, but he made a lot of money in his life. And he's going to continue to try to get bigger and get more money and make more money and make more money, but he's miserable. He's miserable. There's a lot of wealthy people that are miserable. The question is, can you be in a state of happiness? Can you be in a state of fulfillment no matter what's going on in your life? And if you're not doing the self-work to do that, no matter how much money you have in the world, you're never going to feel fulfilled. You're never going to feel peace. You're never going to feel happiness. You're never going to feel joy. You have to do the work. You have to do the work. Otherwise, you're going to end up suffering no matter how successful you are. A lot of people are sitting there, they're like, if I had a better idea, I'd be more successful. If I had this, I would have that. No, you don't need to have anything. You are amazing. You are incredible. You deserve the best right now the way that you are. That doesn't mean you shouldn't strive for more, but you need to realize that where you are right now is where you need to be. And you need to be present in the moment and not get caught up in what the most successful people in the world sometimes can get caught up in, which is not being in the moment, not feeling fulfillment, which is an art, and it's very individual to each person.
And that makes a lot of sense. And it sounds like the way that you're describing it is that it's like almost like a daily sort of thing. It's never quite done, and because it's different to each person, there's no easy answer, and we have to just always be making that effort to not have that negative self-talk and to have all the fulfillment and that passion and stuff.
There's a certain level of awareness that we as human beings need to have, and that if we stop having that awareness, we lose the awareness. That awareness is where are we right now? Do you even know that you're breathing, Robert? Do you even know that you're breathing? Do you even know that you're sitting? Can you feel your feet on the ground right now? When was the last time you thought about how your fingers feel? When was the last time you thought about your forehead? I was recently walking down the street and I see a guy walking and his head's all crunched up and he's walking with intent and he has this thought in his head, and I'm thinking to myself, if only I could stop this guy and make him think about his forehead for a moment and relax his forehead, because he's putting so much pressure on his physical forehead because of whatever he's thinking about. His entire forehead's all scrunched up and he's putting tons of pressure there and he's walking with intent. And the walk he's not working out so hard. He's working his mind. There's something stressing him out big time. And the second I tell somebody, when I see somebody, I say, what's going on? Can you breathe? Can you calm down? You look like you're not calm. You look like something's going on. And they tell me what their problem is. Suddenly I see their forehead relax. Suddenly the scrunches go away or they get calmed down. Or when I make somebody laugh, suddenly their facial muscles relax. And I see there's a very, very big difference, and it's so powerful. And if we lose that awareness, if we get caught up in the day to day and we don't take a moment and step away from our life, take a moment and step away from what we really want, from what really matters. If we don't take a moment to, if you have kids, to take a look at your kids and just look at them, just enjoy them. Stop trying to make them perfect. Stop being a helicopter mom or a helicopter dad and sit there and just enjoy their laughter, enjoy how they're able to be free, free from an agenda, free from a mission, and they're able to enjoy life. If you can do that, even for one moment, even for 1 second, you're better off than most human beings that are completely unaware that most human beings are sitting there and they're killing themselves with stress and they're suffering when you could just take a deep breath right now and relax.
That's pretty powerful stuff. And when you're talking about all this like awareness sort of stuff, like what keeps hitting home for me is that it seems like we all have like thousands of things every single moment that we're doing just on automatic pilot that we have to because we subconsciously need to breathe, subconsciously need to like have our facial muscles do this or that. But then you mention breathing or my feet on the ground, and then I can't not think about my own breathing, right? Or I can't not think about my forehead. So it sounds like half the battle is just people realizing that they're doing these things and they're just kind of in a runaway sort of infinite loop, and they need to figure out what they're doing and change little things, and awareness seems like half the battle.
Yeah, awareness is a very, very big part of the battle, and if we don't take a moment away from everything to become aware, then we get stuck on the plan. We get stuck on the tasks that we planned a while ago that may not apply today. We're just doing the do because we set a habit to do the do, and we forget that, hang on a second, the do is not working. I got to change it up, but we never stop to strategize. We never stop to wonder, are we ruining, or is the reason we have a headache because we didn't drink enough water? Like, we have a habit not to drink enough water. So drink more water. Drink more water. Have the energy that you need. Energy doesn't come from eating more food. Energy doesn't come from potato chips. Energy doesn't come from those calories. Energy comes from oxygen. Energy comes from you being able to have your cells create energy. It's not the food that creates energy. So like, if you think about a lot of these concepts of awareness, like, we're not even aware. We're just doing things that are counterproductive and that are not giving us fulfillment, that are not giving us happiness, that are not doing our best, and it's just a bunch of habits and stuff. So you look at a person that's just not being successful, it's not because they're not smart, it's not because they're not capable. A lot of it has to do with, number one, awareness, not being aware of how they're spending their time and what they're doing, and then just not testing and not challenging themselves and just living within their own self-limiting beliefs. I always say, don't just have a purpose, live with purpose. Don't just have a purpose, live with purpose. What that means is, even if you're going to breathe, breathe with purpose. Take a deep breath, breathe with purpose, fill up your lungs completely. And a lot of the stress that we feel has to do with us just not breathing. So if you want to market yourself and you want to be successful, you got to show up like a marketer. You got to show up with creativity. You can't have all those things stored in your brain. There's a book called Getting Things Done by David Allen. Have you heard of it?
Yes, I have.
Such a powerful book, because he says your brain is not a storing tool. You're not sitting there storing stuff. And a lot of us just try to store all our tasks in our brain. Your brain is supposed to be a creative tool that comes up with ideas and brainstorms and solves problems. But if we're just all stuck up, all cluttered with our to-dos and our task lists and all that stuff, we don't have the bandwidth to use our creativity. And you know what's going to make you money? You know what's going to make you money online? That creativity. You taking the passions and the skills that you already have today and using your creativity to be able to monetize that in a whole next level way.
Awesome. And what I'm hearing a lot in those last couple of remarks and in a couple of those examples is that it sounds like a lot of people are just going after the symptom and not actually the cause. Like if they don't feel well or if they're not creative, they're kind of putting a quick fix on it or a band-aid on it. And it sounds like for a lot of people, there's something more deeper that needs to be fixed. And so I kind of want to switch gears a little bit because we're getting into some really deep sort of stuff, and I want to talk about you, and I want to talk about kind of where you were before you set up all this stuff, before you had Ajax Union, and sort of like where you were before you had all this stuff figured out. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
So an entrepreneur that had, I remember, so like, take me back, married for let's say 3 years, just bought a home. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a full-time job and I have 7 side hustles, right? I have a construction company, I have an IT company, I'm fixing computers for people, I'm selling stuff on eBay. I have a web design agency, I'm doing graphic design for people, I have this little advertising website, I'm doing some real estate, and I have all the stuff going on. I'm up till 3 in the morning, I'm working, I'm severely overweight, and I'm plowing through, putting my relationship on the side, putting my own health on the side, never exercising, never eating right, just like keep plowing away, drinking more Snapple, having more sugar, more caffeine, more cigarettes. And I didn't realize that I wasn't living a fulfilled, happy life. Like, I was always happy, but there was always something missing. There was always quality missing. I couldn't relax, because when I relaxed, I was always disheveled. I'm relaxing. I can't relax. I got to make more money. 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 I got to work harder. I got to be financially independent. I can't spend 1 second doing anything. And then I realized one day, like, looking back now, I realized I could have been so much more successful if I would have just focused on one thing that I was passionate about, and I spent the time strategizing. And I didn't know any of that stuff back then because I was thinking about tactics. I was thinking about I like those. I was looking for the right idea. I was hoping that if I did all these things, one of them would like I would strike rich on one of them magically. I didn't even have a plan. So it was like I was looking for magic back then. I was like, I have a full-time job, so I'm getting some of my bills paid, and then I have all this other side stuff. I want one of them to become magic, and none of them ever became magic. None of the side things became magic. It was until I found the right partner that helped me focus and believed in me more than I believed in myself, that allowed me to be able to create Ajax Union, have the vision for it, and then grow to be one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. We were number 178 on the Inc. 500. And then even continuing to grow, having dozens and dozens of employees, servicing over 1,100 companies, and kind of like really turning this company into a major success. But I needed to turn myself into a major success along the way. That means I needed to lose 80 pounds. That means I needed to become more aware. That means I needed to become a writer when I was afraid of writing. I needed to become a public speaker when I was deathly afraid of public speaking. I need to be comfortable being a persona online when I was the private person, the person who was afraid of having his photo online and instead said I'm a private person. I needed to learn how to network with billionaires when I was afraid of getting in a room with paupers and having a conversation. I was frightened to speak to a guy who was successful. So how am I supposed to be successful if I'm afraid to be next to people that are successful? Now I moderate rooms of billionaires. Now I moderate rooms at the top of the line, the people who have made it or inherited it, but made it.
And you know what? All that stuff, it reminds me of what's that quote, like, always do what you were afraid to do. And that's pretty cool because it sounds like you went from where a lot of people are kind of spread too thin and hoping that one of the ventures or one of the side hustles kind of will like win the lottery more or less, and then you did all those things that you talked about so far, right? You took care of yourself first, you got your health in order, you found the right team and the right partner and stuff to get you focused on just be really good at the one thing, as opposed to just being spread out on all these other things and switching gears and putting out fires.
One of the biggest things one of the biggest self-limiting beliefs was people say, okay, what's your 10-year plan? And I'll think to myself, 10 years? Are you kidding me? What's my 3 month? What am I doing in the next year? What am I doing in the next month? What am I doing? Forget about 10 years. I don't know what's going to happen. 10 years don't matter. 10 years don't matter. Most people think 10 years don't matter. Who cares about 10 years? 10 years is so far away. But if you have a clear picture of 10 years, people underestimate what they could accomplish in a decade, and they overestimate what they could accomplish in a day, in a week, in a month, and even in a year, they overestimate what they could accomplish. But in a decade, everybody underestimates what they could accomplish. If you could set a huge, 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 huge goal, like a massive monster goal for a decade, and then every single day work on that goal over the decade, you're going to get very close to that goal. You're going to exceed your expectations, because a decade is a long, long, long time. And I never, ever planned for a decade. I never sat there and thought, in a decade, I want to do X. I never did that. And if I would have done that and I looked every single day, what am I doing today towards my goal in the decade? I would have gotten much, much closer, much faster, much further. If you look at Warren Buffett, right? You take a look at Warren Buffett. There's a chart that says how much money Warren Buffett had when he was 13, 17, 21, and so on. The first time he ever had millions of dollars was in his 30s. Like, if you think about it, he started so young, till he had 620 million, and then eventually he had a billion, and then eventually he had 65 billion or whatever he has now. It took him a lifetime to build that. It took him a lifetime take the guy that's the richest guy or one of the richest guys in the world, and you put him up there, and you're like, wow, how was he when he was 21? How was he when he was 17? How was he when he was 30? And you'll see, he just stuck to his thing. He did his one thing. He did it really, really well. He took a lot of risks. He's not the average person. But again, do you want to do what he does? No, not necessarily. You want to do what you do. You have to be comfortable with your plan. Success is very, very different to each person. Most people don't know what success means for them. They're busy measuring success based upon somebody else's success. Success is very individual. If you want to be successful making money online, you need to think about what success looks like for you, not for anybody else, for you personally.
That's some pretty deep stuff, and it kind of puts lots of scary things into perspective for all of us. And so can we talk about Ajax Union a little bit? Because you mentioned it a few times, and you mentioned that like you won these awards and that you're the best in what you do. But could you kind of tell us about like why you're the best and what sets you guys apart? What makes you different?
Well, Ajax Union is a digital marketing agency. We do B2B lead generation. We help companies that are $10 million to $100 million in revenue generate leads online. When we started our company, we were everything to everybody. Finally, we decided to focus that we were going to do SEO for small businesses, and we did that for a long time. And then we wanted to take things to the next level. So when we did SEO for small businesses, we were the best at doing SEO for small businesses. We came up with a plan, articles, blogs, classified ads, directories, social media. We helped small businesses for a very small monthly fee be able to get massive search engine optimization. It worked really, really well. People saw a great return on investment, and we had amazing customers. When we wanted to take things to a whole new level and impact organizations significantly, we realized that we had to really limit ourselves in terms of how many clients we could service at once so that we can really make an impact. We had to hire very, very high-end employees, get very high-end customers. And our focus now, we're the best at what we do because we penciled in, we looked in, we said, okay, we want to be amazing marketers that have the best technology, the best creativity, and the best communication. Are we the best quality designers? No, we do okay design. Are we the best quality content writers? No, we do okay content writing. But you know where we're the best? We're the best at getting you results. If you're looking for a performance-based digital plan, if you're a B2B company and you're looking to acquire customers, and you have a marketing budget, we can help change your business because we specialize in this. See, a lot of people don't specialize. They're all over the place. A lot of agencies, they don't want to leave opportunity on the table. We say no to 90% of the people that contact us, and we refer out to a lot of other agencies because we know what we're good at. They say, know what you're deliberately bad at, and we know what we're bad at. We know what when we say we're the best, we know what we're the best in. We're not just the best in everything. I, as a human being, and you as a human being, you suck at something. The question is, are you willing to admit what you suck at, and are you willing to brag about what you're the best at?
And that's awesome stuff, and that kind of comes full circle with what we were talking about as far as in the beginning, people might need to kind of cut up the things they do and look at what they're good at, what they're not good at, what makes money, what doesn't make money, and in the same relation of your journey, where you were trying to be the jack of all trades, and what you realize that you're bad at these things and good at those things, and you realize that you can do what you personally are good at, and then have someone else do. And so I think that everyone listening, whatever business that they're currently building, are probably in the same kind of situation where they can take that inventory, they can take that stock of all these things that they're maybe doing, and they can just focus on what their business is and have you guys at Ajax Union take care of the marketing and the results and what you guys specialize in.
Yeah, a lot of times they already have a marketing team in-house, but for some reason they're not executing. And they come to us and we're like, okay, we see you're not executing on the most important things. We can execute for you. Your team is not going to be able to give you the results that you need because they're just focused on doing all the day-to-day stuff. And we come in, we look at it from a results perspective. We get to understand your business. We do a workshop with you, and then we just start executing. And then you suddenly start seeing results and your business starts growing.
Awesome. I love it. So where can people go to find out more about you guys?
To find out more about Ajax Union, you can go to www.ajaxunion.com, AJAXUNION.com. To find out about me personally, you can go to joeapfelbaum.com, JOE Apfelbaum. You can Google me. You could search me on LinkedIn. I put a daily video on Facebook, so you can check out my Facebook page at facebook.com/Joe Apfelbaum. I'm pretty active on Instagram and Snapchat and all that other stuff. So go check out my stuff. I have a podcast, ceomojo.com. I'm also on iTunes, and I have a TV show on growtime.tv where I put a weekly video how people can grow from average Joe to CEO. I'm putting the finishes touches to my book, Average Joe to CEO. You'll be able to find out more information about that on joeapfelbaum.com.
Perfect. So when you were talking about having that giving mindset, that abundance mindset, you sure weren't kidding. You definitely have a lot of stuff for people to check out.
Yes, absolutely. And for me, the more I put out there, the more I give, the more I get. But I don't do it. I don't give so that I can get. I give because I genuinely feel fulfilled when I know that I'm impacting your life. When you're listening to this right now, and I created an aha moment, whether it was a book tip, whether it was a concept, an idea, something that'll change your life, I know that I'm changing people's lives because I get the feedback. So it's very, very powerful when I see that in real action.
Perfect. So everyone should go to those websites, ajaxunion.com, joeapfelbaum.com, ceomojo.com, and growtime.tv. Man, I think that a lot of people should listen to this show maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 times, maybe even once a week, Joe. So I want to thank you for stopping by because it was all some pretty powerful, life-changing stuff. So thanks for coming by.
My pleasure. I really enjoyed doing it, Robert. Thanks for interviewing me.
Thanks for listening to today's program. Start from the beginning or view past episodes at robertplank.com/episode.